Congratulations, Eagles. This is Coach Barney and Coach Joda. And we're just so happy to just give you kind of a quick video of the year to remember in terms of probably one of the greatest baseball seasons that's ever been played here by a Titan team. Just to give you some of your accomplishments for the year. You won the Hong Kong Little League. We believe it's only the third time in 40 years that a Titan team has actually won the Hong Kong Little League. You set the record for wins. You ran 28-0. You went 14-0 in the league. And among your players, you had essentially, when it comes to hits, 3 of you actually broke the record in a season for hits. 3 of you also broke the record for RBIs. 2 of our pitchers actually broke the records for strikeouts. Just to name a few of the records across the board. And I'm sure if we kept track of run differential and many of the other types of statistics that we keep in baseball, you would have won those all as well. So it was just a fantastic season and a great year, and one that we should all remember for the rest of our lives, because I think this is a pretty incredible season, and there's a lot for all of you to be proud of in this year. So Coach Joda's going to walk us through the season and how we did, and give you some insights as to how the games went over the course of the year.
Yeah. Afternoon, guys. Hope everyone's well, and looking forward to contributing to this video today. So just to kind of recap the season, we went 32-2 as the Titan Baseball Club Eagles Majors team. Out of the 32-2, the 2 losses that we had in the preseason were really our warm-up games in October. As we started our official season, as Bill mentioned, we were unbeaten throughout the Hong Kong Little League, but we also had a few fantastic stats to share with you today. One, we scored in 17 games. We scored double-digit runs. So our largest run differential that we had was a 22-zip game against the Astros, which was obviously quite a memorable one for us. But at the same time, we also had 2 shutout games, including that 22-0. We shut out the Astros again on April 18th, where we beat them 11-zip. One of the remarkable things that I thought at the end of the season, during the middle of the season too, is how we face adversity as a team. And one of the things that I'm really proud, probably the most proudest of this team, is that everyone stepped up when we needed them to step up. During the season, kind of midway through, Kai Shitoku broke his hand, broke his wrist, and he was out for a month. And as a result of that, a couple of the other guys had to step in and take his place in the various positions that he played between second base, catcher, and sometimes pitcher. So, we had Ryan Gardner sitting behind the plate for a few games. We had Bladen playing second base, a position that he hadn't played before. So it's great to see a lot of that kind of stepping up and the resilience that we showed during the middle of the season when we got a little bit hard. And then at the end, when really the 5 last games that we had, we killed this, starting with the Astros, where we beat them 11-zip. We finished up beating the Buffaloes, the JBC Buffaloes, with a 12-2 win, which was our final game. And then, but probably the most memorable one was our third to last game against the Thunder, where we beat them 5-1 in a very, very close Titan Baseball Club inter-team play. So it was, again, an awesome season. A great way to end, and really a fun season for all of us as coaches to watch.
We were very proud of you this year. It was a great year, and one that we're all very, very excited about.
Bill, any memorable games that you remember?
I think I think I agree with you. The exciting part was at the end of a long season. For many of you, when you look back on this, you'll forget that we were in the middle of COVID, and there were times when the baseball season ended for a month at a time, and then you had to pick up everything and come right back out and play as if everything had been going continuously. And so, and you think about baseball, it's a game that's played on repetition and constantly doing it. And so the fact that you guys could come out there every week, and concentrate. And I think one thing I hand to you is, Coach Joda, I think one time, many times before the game said, come out, leave everything on the fields, give everything you got. And make sure that when you walk off the field, you've played the best game you can. And I'll tell you that pretty much every time Coach Joda said that, you did it, and you came through. And I look back, and maybe there's an inning or two that you maybe had some mental errors, but for the most part, you guys left your hearts out there. You played every game with everything you had, and that's what it takes to be a great team. And remember this, because for the rest of your life, you're going to try and do this again, and it's you've done it now. And so this is something that, and it's not just baseball. It'll be football or soccer or even in life, running a company or your job. Having a perfect season is a hard thing to do, and it means that you have to concentrate and work hard every single day. And I think you did that throughout the season. So I was really, really proud of you. And it was a great group of guys. And one of the things I also loved is when you were losing, and it wasn't very often, you never got on each other's backs. You never got upset at one another. You picked each other up. You're always there to yell at each other in a positive way. And that's one thing that makes great teams is not having any negative energy and having that positive energy that brought you forward. So I'm very, very proud of you, not just as baseball players, but as human beings. So I think it was
I agree with that 100%. The coaches were yelling. The coaches, probably did a lot more yelling than in terms of all the things they were trying to remind you to do. But it was great to see everyone supporting each other up and down, and that was probably the best part of the whole entire season for me, is to watch you guys grow as players, as a team, and ultimately end up where we ended up. So again, congrats. We want to go through the players and give you a little recap of what we thought of you guys individually. First group of players that we want to give a big shout out to is what I and Coach Bill refer to as a bench mob. As you guys know, the Mets are a team that we both support, and we currently are going through a season where the bench players on the New York Mets are having to step up and do what they need to do. And we had a very similar group of guys in our bench mob that consisted of 4 guys: Danny Gusak, the Goose, Roy, Bendy, and Kai Harris. So we're just going to go one by one and talk about each of you guys. You want to take Goose first?
Yeah, of course. Daniel the Goose Gusak, and he got the name the Goose probably second and third game of the year, and the amazing thing, I think his brother now goes by the Goose, and his dad is Senior Goose, so there's been a lot of Gooses put through. But Daniel is probably one of the kids that I take my hat out to. He came into the season, struggled at the plate, and was having a lot of trouble in the beginning in the outfield. And now that I look at him, he's probably one of the best outfielders we've got. He catches fly balls, and probably one of the highlights of the year was the last game that we just played. Daniel dug a ball out of the corner, threw it all the way to the relay man, hit the relay perfectly, and that guy, which was our first baseman, threw home and got the final out to win the game. And it really showed how far Daniel's come. But I think one of the other things about Daniel is his hitting. Most people, when they come up against us, they think that they get to the ninth hitter, they're going to have an easy time. And Daniel, time and time again, you've come out there and hit that solid line drive up the middle or into right field. Generally, the ball's over your head when you hit it. You hit it like a tennis racket, but you get it out there. And those hits have turned out to be, in some cases, the difference in the game. So I think you have been a clutch player for us all year, and one that we're really, really proud of how you performed and the attitude that you brought in terms of what you've done for this team. So Daniel, thank you so much, Coach.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Goose, I think the thing that I love about the Goose is his energy levels that he brings to every single play, every single game, every single even when he's sitting on the bench, he's got a lot of energy. He's talking a lot, and again, as much as we're getting probably on average 1,000 questions a weekend probably from Goose. He showed up and he loved the game, and that energy level you can't replicate. So again, you got 19 hits all season, very big hits on a lot of occasions, diving for every single ball that it went out to the outfield. Coming back from missing, making an error and then making a great play the next second. So again, Goose does not listen to any signs whatsoever as a third base coach, ignores everything, but at the same time, you can't replicate that. I love his energy. So Goose, great job this year.
So Bendy is the nickname we've gotten for Ben Desmarian. And I think after a full year, I can barely still pronounce his name.
Demiersman.
But he's our European contingent to the team. But Ben, and I think the thing that I love about Ben is also, from a fielding perspective, he listens. He's gotten much better. He follows when coaches tell him, what he needs to do. He actually goes out and does it. I think from the plate, he's had he had some challenges early in the year, and to be honest with you, he was hit by pitchers 5 times in the first 8 games, and quite frankly, a lot of guys have trouble coming back from that, and so I think Ben did a great job of sort of battling back from dealing with some of those challenges at the plate, and had some really important hits for us over the year. And, we could always depend on him in the outfield. So he was there for us. He made some great plays for us, tracked a lot of balls down. But the one thing you could also, he will hit the cutoff man. He will run when he's supposed to run. He's a guy that's extremely coachable, and I think he's got a great future in front of him as a baseball player.
Absolutely. Bendy, our Belgian, one of the rare Belgian baseball players that we have in TTBC, but again, great energy, great attitude all around. Listens, very, very coachable. He actually had 22 walks this year. One of our leading walk artists in our whole entire team. On top of that, he contributed 7 hits across the season. So, Bendy, keep working at it. Make sure that you're, waiting for your pitch, letting your hips do the talking rather than all the arms. You'll be a great player, I'm sure, in the juniors. So we look forward to coaching you as you get older too.
Roy's son was probably he was an addition to the Eagles last year, and he stayed with us this year. So he's part of our 2 Koreans that play for the team. And Roy has been the great thing about Roy is he's got some of the greatest fundamentals when he applies them. He's got a great swing. He throws the ball extremely well. And I'll tell you the other thing, Roy, is you're a trooper. As a pitcher, I was really proud of you this year. I think you came into I think you pitched 6-7 games. Always on target, always concentrating, always in the game, and obviously, I think the hitting was up and down. I think you had some great moments of some great hits, and then there were some down moments. But I think all in all, I think you had a great year hitting the baseball, and a lot of times you're coming in off the bench and you made some great plays, and that's never easy to come in and be inside the game. And I think one of the things that you did is you concentrated and you stayed in the games, and when we needed an extra hand, you were the guy that came out there and helped us, whether it be on the pitcher's mound or in the outfield or even playing second or third base. So, we're really proud of you. You're one of the versatile guys, and I think if you keep working at it, I think you've really got the fundamentals. You've got a fantastic arm, and you've got a great swing. And these are just things that I think over time are just going to only get better. So we're pretty excited about your future, Roy, and you really were a great contributor to the team.
Yeah, Roy has surprising pop. He has a lot of strength, and again, kind of what Coach Bill was saying earlier about our number 9, number 8 hitters. When they get to that part of the lineup, our opponents think that it's an easy out. Roy was never that easy out, right? He got in total 11 hits across the season. But again, that and when he got those hits, they were power hits. He put them out of the outfield, so they weren't little dinky hits that were hit. So again, and also I agree with you. His arm is super strong, and as he grows, as he gets taller, as he gets bigger, which we know he will. Right, he's going to be a great addition to any team. So again, that energy level, you just got to wait for your pitches. Don't be swinging so high. But overall, great job, Roy. Great to have you on the team.
Our last on the bench mob, but not least, is Kai Harris. And Kai, as a lefty, has got some limitations as to where he can play on the field. So, and we were a little bit crowded at first base this year. So the thing I loved about Kai was he was able to step in and he played some at second base, played some at first base, even caught for us a couple times, but made some pretty clutch plays in the outfield. Was a great listener also in terms of learning how to play. I think learning the outfield is difficult in the majors because the ball, it's large. There's a lot of work to do out there, and I think Kai did a great job. I think also the thing that Kai showed us at the end of the season was, he's a very good pitcher, and I think the challenge for Kai was, if you didn't have the three pitchers in front of him, he would have been the starter on any other team in the league, and he would have been pitching half the time on any other team. And it's unfortunate that he just happened to be, and this is just the luck of the draw sometimes with it, as you end up on a team where you don't get as much time just because the other guys absorb the innings. But I think, Kai, you had a great year, and I think you've got a great future as a pitcher. You showed us that you've got a lot of good stuff, both a good fastball, a good curveball, and I think you'll be next year one of the aces in the majors. I think you're gonna make some things happen because you got another year to go there, and you'll be the ace of one of these teams next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, Kai's one of our youngest guys in our team, and what I think we found across the whole entire season was that he developed his strength. Right, he got his bat speed up. He was hitting over to the left side more at the beginning of the season. At the end of the season, he was driving it up the middle, pulling the ball right, and those are great things to see when you're seeing kids develop over the course of the season, where they are getting their bat speed quicker. And from a pitching perspective, again, he has velo, and he will get velo as he gets older too. And he's got another year of majors ahead of him. He will be one of the top draft picks next year, guaranteed. You heard it here first. And I will, I'll be very, very surprised if he's not number 1 or number 2 in the draft next year. So again, I look forward to seeing what he's got to do in next year's major season. All right, so next up, we have our next group of kids that we are defining as the Mud Rats, the guys that hustle the hardest, the Charlie Hustles of the team. And, as Bill has described to me, the group of kids that really are the glue that make up this unbeaten team this year. So out of the three, we have Kai Shitoku, who, as I mentioned, got injured in the middle of the season, but he came back. He started off the season quite well. He came back after the season too. MC Ho, probably our shortest kid, but with the biggest heart in the team. And in addition to that, Bladen Schwartz. So I think we're going to start off with Bladen
So Bladen, I think, is first of all, I think he's the kid that has actually played. When we do the math, we'll find that he actually played every single position on the field at one point during the season. Because I know I remember him playing third base. I know he's played shortstop and second base. Maybe he hasn't played first base, but he's pretty much every other position. He's been a catcher. He's been a pitcher. But I think the thing with Bladen that I love is, he just goes out there and plays baseball, and he loves the game. He comes every day with the energy. He's never, you never see him sitting on the ground. He's one of these guys that just has, great energy, and he's also he's sort of a serial learner sort of guy. Like, he's sort of interesting. Like Coach Joda taught him how to bunt, and then all he could do was bunt for the rest of the season, and but. In a good way. I think he became an expert bunter, and I think the one thing I think that Bladen showed us is that he'll get into something, he'll focus on it, and he'll get good at it. And I think that's it's a great skill for life for Bladen. I think also his energy is just effusive. He brings everybody up with him with that smile and sort of that way of running, and the fact that he's nothing is impossible for him, whether it be running the bases, doing stuff in the outfields, or trying to, making a diving catch to on a line drive. He's just shown us that he's fantastic, and obviously statistically he was a good ball player too. But I think just all around a great addition to the squad. Yeah, just some highlights there. 500 average across the season, which is remarkable. He had 27 hits, over 54 plate appearances or ABs. So again, unreal in terms of statistics. But yeah, very, very quick learner. And when it works really well. He uses speed a lot to get from home plate after he bunted to first base. He hustles. He's very, very awake and very, very aware of his surroundings. So again, really, really pleasure to coach throughout the season. Yeah, no, I think our second player is Kai Shitoku, obviously coach's son, but. Unfortunately, Kai, as we mentioned, got hurt during the middle of the year. The interesting thing is I tracked the stats until he got hurt. Kai was right in the front with all of the other players. Probably would have broken records this year if he had been able to stay in there, both on the hits, RBIs, and also on the strikeouts. He was actually, he was a main player in those areas. And obviously losing a month, he lost, I think, almost a third of the games that he wasn't able to play either, because he was recovering. But I'll tell you, the great thing about Kai was it didn't matter when we needed him or what we needed him for. He would step in there. it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit out there, and he'll jump in and catch for 6 innings and battle through it, and make great plays in the 6th inning after being in the heat the whole time. But there wasn't a day that he didn't make a great play. I mean, this last game we saw him turn double plays. He's got the fastest hands, probably the best fundamentals of anybody on the team, the only switch hitter that we've got. And he hits beautifully from both sides, and potentially could play almost any position in the field that we want him to play, and we'll do it without question. If you tell him you need him to go play right field, he'll go play right field, and just a fantastic attitude, but also statistically just a great ball player. And he's doing this despite the fact that he's probably 90 pounds, and I don't think he's crested over 5 feet yet. So he's he doesn't have the physical gifts that many of his his peers have, and he's still he's contributing at a level that's very, very high in this league for a very small guy. So it's very, very impressive, and he's one of our top picks in the year, and I couldn't think of a better guy to have on this team, both from an attitude but also in a performance level.
Yeah, from my perspective, obviously my son, very proud of him, but at the same time, from a TTBC perspective, he's always been called Tiny for obvious reasons, in tournament play, etc. But he's really embraced that nickname. He loves the fact, I'm sure he'll love the fact that he's been defined as a mud rat in this situation, because he loves the game of baseball. He loves going out there and playing. Just a couple highlights here. He did only play 28 games, but he had 31 hits across those games, 456 average. But again, I think even though he missed a few games, I know what he's looking for right now is to try to catch up to Ryan Gardner and the number of innings that he plays as catcher. I think he's only got to play like 3 or 4 more innings, and he'll have the highest number of innings caught in the TTBC Eagles season. So again, it's great to see that love shining through, and the hustle overall.
Yeah, no, I think. Just a great attitude. And then that leads us sort of to our last of the Rugrats, but not least, obviously, MC Ho. Our
MC.
He is obviously big name on a small man. And I'll tell you, this guy is just a bowl of energy. I have studied the physics trying to figure out how he gets a ball out of the infield. But this guy hits with more power per pound than anybody.
Oh, for sure.
And you look at every time he's at the plate, it's an amazing at bat. The one thing that I've seen with him is he gets up against a hard pitcher and he fouls off 4 or 5 pitches, and then he hits a nice line drive, and probably one of the best eyes on the team when he's concentrating. He sometimes doesn't. He's not completely there, but when he's in the moment, he is probably one of the best contact hitters we've got. And then in the field, you couldn't ask for anything better than this guy. He catches everything in the outfield. He makes it dramatic. Most catches, the ball is maybe 2 or 3 inches off the ground when he actually pulls it into his glove, but he gets there and pulls it in. And then at second base, he's been a quick set of hands, and there's a lot of line drives that he picked off because he was wide awake and ready to play baseball. And that's one thing you can be sure about with MC is if someone hits a line drive towards him, he's going to get it. If it's near him, he's going to get it, and he's going to either knock it down or catch it. So a great ball player, and a fantastic season. And I don't think we could have done it without him. He was one of those players that also stepped in when we needed it in various places.
Yeah, the discipline, shows up in his stats. He had 20 walks this season, another one of our leaders in walks through his 59 ABs. He had 25 hits. He had a 424 average. So again, and even as you stated, even though he's one of the smallest kids in the team, he had 4 doubles throughout the season. So that tells you he's got pop. But like you said, he's small, but he does have a home run swing. and what I like to say is he makes the routine look dramatic in the field, and makes us coaches a little bit nervous, but it's fun to watch. And so again, MC's been a great add to the team this year. All right. So last but not least, we have our group that we like to call the Murderers Row. And for those that don't know that reference, it does reference New York Yankees, the hated New York Yankees of the 1920s. And actually specifically in 1927, so the first 6 batters of that lineup were specifically called the Murderers Row, and that lineup included people like Babe Ruth and who was the other guy?
Well, it was
No, Lou Gehrig, Babe
Gehrig.
Ruth, and a few other guys that.
Stan
yeah,
Musial.
yeah. Well, again, we had our own murders row during the 2000 during our season this year. That we'll start off with Ryan.
Yeah. So
Sorry, Ryan Wang, I should say.
yes, yeah, because there are two Ryans, but I think Ryan Wang was, if we look back on the year, probably was the most improved baseball player on the team. Ryan went from essentially playing he was probably eighth or ninth hitter on the team to probably, I would say, probably one of the most clutch bats in the last 5 to 6 games of the season, where he just came out with a ferocity and a confidence, and just hit the baseball with aggression. And he also carried on in the field. I think at third base, he really established himself as a he's got a rifle of an arm that he can throw from third base. And made some very, very clutch outs. And that's a very tough position to play, because it's a short run for these guys, and so you've got to be very quick in terms of getting up and making the throw. And I think Ryan really showed himself as a great contributor on both sides. And there was, and I think when Coach goes through the stats, to my knowledge, I think there's 2 or 3 games where he had more than 3 RBIs in one game. And I think if he had kept this pace in the beginning of the year, he'd probably be the leader in RBIs on the team. If what he's done in the last 4 or 5 games, but just a great clutch performance. And Ryan, I think your little trip to Taiwan with your dad in the middle of the year was probably what turned it. You came back from that, and you turned it on, and it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, 30 hits across the season, 417 average. I love to see that split between the first part of the season and the second part of the season, because his second part of the season was on fire. As Coach Bill said, the extra training that you put in when you were in Taiwan through your batting and your throwing, I think did wonders for you when you came back. And like I said, that he's got a serious gun on him, and that aggression. I think we started off as probably more just aggression, swinging at everything, but he got that discipline in the second half of the season. That led to a lot of hits, a lot of doubles, a lot of triples, a few home runs. So again, awesome to see that development throughout the season, and great job all around.
Fantastic year for what I must say is our most improved player. Michael Lee, my second year coaching Michael, and I'll tell you, it's interesting. The way I can define the change in Michael. A year ago, he'd be at the back of the batter's box, leaning back on his back foot. Today, for the last, I would say since probably the 3rd or 4th game of the season, he's been leaning forwards, putting his shoulder down, keeping his head in the zone, and he's just a completely changed hitter. In terms of, he was terrifying at points during the middle of the season. If you think about players that carried us through when Kai was down, Michael was one of those guys that just stepped up. And there were times when he didn't even get out. I think he went 3 or 4 games without even getting out.
4 or 5 for 5 type of games, yeah.
Yeah, and he just, he was on fire. The other great thing I found about Michael was he was a third baseman for most of the time. But then when we had to shift around with some injuries, he shifted over and played first base and made some really clutch grabs. Learned how to stretch out, and made some great plays at first base, which is not an easy place to play if you haven't done it before. And he's done a great job there all year long. And I think that whether it be at first, at either one of the corners, he's been our corner infielder, and we're really proud of how he's developed, and a great attitude. The other thing I would say is, he's getting in better shape. I think he was about to die when we came back from COVID, when Coach got him running. But now, I saw him the last 2 games. He's much fitter, and he's really shown that he's committed to the game, and very, very excited about it. So, Michael, great year.
575 average speaks for itself. He had 42 hits and 7 doubles, so again, and 4 triples. So an unreal season from a statistical perspective. And I agree with you, Mike. He was one of those guys that you never think that he has a lot of speed just looking at him, but he does have a lot of speed. He's very aggressive on the base path. And his fitness level definitely improved throughout the season. I remember, when we started off, and he looked like he was about to die, and I thought we almost killed him in one of the practices, but he came back, stayed resilient, and one of the most unique swings that I have ever seen. He does his little, beginning swing that works for him really well. I wouldn't, be able to coach that, but it works for him. So again, kind of stick with it. You're going to have to get your bat speed up in next year when you're playing at the juniors level. But an awesome season and great to have you on the team.
This leads us to one of my favorite lefties and the other Ryan Gardner.
RG.
And there's not there are a few players that I've seen hit like Ryan did consistently all year long. He differentiated himself pretty much as the hitter. We had him leading off when Kai was gone. Did a great job. Probably didn't get as many RBIs as he probably could have if we had batted him deeper in the lineup. But just crushed the ball. Two of the games when we were missing Kai, he led off with home runs. They weren't actually, I think they were triples that turned into home runs. Yep. He actually did hit one over the fence eventually, but fantastic player. One of the other things is I think you could do a highlight reel with Ryan's diving catches at first base on fly balls. There is no fly ball hit down the right side that he doesn't try and get to. And he did a great job as a catcher. It's never easy to be a left-handed catcher. And he carried us through a good part of the year as a good catcher and did a fantastic job there. So, all around, really, really proud of him. And a great baseball player, and you've got a fantastic future. Obviously next year and the years to come, you're very talented, and you really showed us and led the team this year in terms of the way you played and with your attitude.
Yeah, I mean, he was a leader in batting average, on base percentage, slugging, and OPS. His batting average is .636, which is unheard of, and his OPS is 1.799. So again, unreal. One of the purest hitters I've seen. Beautiful left-handed swing. I don't know why, but lefty swingers just look a lot better than righty swingers. But that swing, he does have a very much a home run swing. He got one out of the field, we think. But, it was, again, and really, really kind of fun guy to be around, great teammate, and always positive spirit, hustles too. It just runs a lot of speed. So again, nothing more to say. Amazing season, probably one of the best seasons I've ever seen as a coach. So congratulations on a great season.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, well done. The next player, I think, what Ryan did for the hitting side of the house, I think Max did for the pitching side of the house. I think Max developed over the year. I would say coming into the season, we probably thought he was maybe the second or third pitcher, and sort of stepped up to a point where I think he not only was the ace of the team, he was the ace of the league. Learned to also, the thing that I think that was great about Max was he learned to pitch with his head, and he learned how to throw change-ups and to curveballs. He had the ability to overpower people, but he also now has a way of outsmarting people, so he learned to be a clever pitcher. And I think that's it's a great skill that'll actually carry him into the future, where you don't have to always overpower people. At the plate, obviously, Max also had a great year. Probably not as statistically as good as some of the other players, but it was solid and was always there in the clutch situations. You could always count on Max to either hit the ball hard and get the ball in play. He didn't always get the last hit, but he was always there, always a terror on the base paths. And one of the other areas that you overlooked is he played great at shortstop. When he wasn't pitching, he played a lot at shortstop, turned a lot of double plays, and made had a pretty consistent glove. So from a dad's perspective, I was very, very proud of my son. But I think also from the team's perspective, he was the key to the defense that we played when we were out in the field. He was the guy that was either anchoring the infield or the guy on the mound that was trying to make things happen.
Yeah, 100% the ace of the team for sure. From a pitching perspective, he was our Jacob deGrom for the season. Another Mets reference for those of you who don't know. But batting too, .593 average, second best average in our team. But remarkably 28 walks. And the lowest number of strikeouts in our team was 7 throughout the season. So, again, that plate discipline, knowing when to swing, and getting a huge number of hits, 48 for the season, 12 doubles, 2 triples. So, again, awesome from the offense perspective and defense. His what I really, really enjoy watching him, like you said, Bill, was his baseball IQ from a pitching IQ standpoint improved tremendously throughout the season. He was using 3 pitches, really, to get people out. He needed, when he needed to overpower people, he did. when he knew he could get an inning, get out of the inning with a curveball, he did, and he executed really well. So again, it's really fun to watch kids like Max develop throughout the season. It's never easy being the coach's kid, for sure. I'll say that about my son too. But it was great to watch Max just dominate in that last game against actually both the Eagles and against the Thunder too.
Yeah. No, I think one last thing on Max is he did also set the record, I think, for strikeouts for the year. So he broke the record for the majors. Another record breaker.
Last but not least
is Andis Chai, who, if all things stand as they are today, he'd have the most hits and most RBIs of a majors player in history this year. And there's some pretty big names that that owned those records before, including one of our coaches, Zach Barney. So he's actually replacing Zach on top of the hill. But Andis, one of our youngest players, I think he is the youngest player.
He is our youngest player at the age of 6, I think.
Yeah. And Andis is probably, from my one of the greatest kids I've ever coached. A kid that comes ready to play baseball. He may be the youngest kid, but you don't know that when you're standing there. He's definitely the most mature in terms of getting his surrounding teammates to play alongside him. He's always positive, and he delivers. Whether it's on the pitcher's mound, whether it's playing shortstop, or whether it's hitting the ball. Statistically, he's off the charts. He's a fantastic baseball player in that regard, but I think in addition, he just makes the team a much better team, and we're really, really proud of him because that's going to serve him very well through the rest of his life as a leader, which I think he really established himself.
Yeah, team leader in hits with 50, batting average again 581. He very much, like, when he focuses on that line drive swing that we know he has, his bat speed will do all the talking, and it's fantastic to watch. And that ping off the bat is unreal when it happens. Pitched really well too. He's got a lot of velo on that arm. But again, as the youngest kid, you think he'd be overwhelmed or slightly shy when it comes to hanging out with some of the 12-year-olds or 13-year-olds. But he stood his ground. I've had the opportunity to coach Andy's not just this season but through tournaments, and he comes ready to play every single time. And I know he puts in a ton of work outside of our practices. So from that perspective, he probably is the most disciplined and diligent. And that'll put him in really good stead in future seasons. So whatever he decides to do, whether he plays the majors next year because he is still eligible, or whether he comes up to the juniors to join us, I look forward to seeing him get bigger and bigger and stronger and then start really hitting home runs in real fields too. So again, awesome season, Andy's. Great to have you on the team.
And just to put it in perspective, that murderer's row that we're talking about there, of those 5 players, 4 of them lead the league this year in hits, and they've also broken the previous record for hits. And if you look at RBIs, 4 of these guys they're 4 of the 5 leaders in RBIs in the league as well this year. So and 3 of them have broken the record for all time. So just to show you how these you take any one of these ball players off this team and put them on another team, they would be the best hitter on that team. So it's a pretty interesting set of stats from our perspective in terms of just a phenomenal season from these players across the board.
And one thing to add about Andy's too, just trivia for those watching from home, he's our best singer on the team. So he does have a little YouTube channel that you can go on and he'll sing a song for you. So check it out.
Yeah, you do have to see Andis sing. It's pretty special.
All right, so a quick shout out actually to the whole entire Barney family because without it really does take a village when it comes to TTBC Eagles baseball, and so specifically, obviously Bill as a coach, but Zach, Barney, Bill's oldest son, going to college next year at where is it? American University in Washington D.C. He made a significant contribution to Eagles baseball this year from a coaching perspective. was, it's always great to have kids like him, high school players, because our kids look up to those high school players a lot more than they look up to you and I, Bill, sometimes. And he communicates in a different way that really resonates with a lot of our kids. So, from a pitching perspective, he really calmed Max down and Andy's down when they needed it. As a third base coach, he had all the signs, and he brings a ton of baseball IQ, a ton of baseball experience, and it's a great role model for any of our players to follow as they get older. So Zach, thank you on behalf of myself, on behalf of your dad. It was great to coach with you. We look forward to seeing you developing your college career, but also when you come back, you're always welcome to do a little guest coaching spot at any of our fields. In addition to that, Kathleen Barney, again, unbelievable team mom this year. I know, in the background, you guys probably don't see a whole lot. Definitely as kids, you don't see the amount of effort and energy that all your parents put in, but, Kathleen does so much work behind the scenes in terms of organizing Bill specifically, in a lot of cases.
Absolutely.
But without
hardest job there.
Yeah. and she is an angel in every respect. So thank you, Kathleen, for all the work that you put in. We truly do appreciate it, and you deserve an award by yourself. So thank you.
And one of the greatest additions I think this year was the addition of Eagle Broadcast Network on
Fantastic.
Facebook.
Yeah, we had people from all around the world watching the Eagles broadcast.
We had 27 subscribers globally, followers. In fact, I think the record was one day we had 44 folks on the channel. And the interesting thing about our users is they would all send texts as well, so they would be commenting on what people were wearing, if they were shouting too loud, etc. So it was always a comical sort of thing that was going on in the background.
That we had viewers from Texas, we had viewers from Florida, we had viewers from Tennessee.
Yeah.
It was great to see all those guys, grandmas, granddads.
It was amazing, and there was also a contingent from Taiwan that was actually that actually dialed into it. We had Washington D.C. There was at one point some guys in Bendy's relatives in
Belgium.
Belgium, I think, were in on one. So it was quite a group. But we got to thank Scott Harris. I think Scott and his wife were very helpful in setting up the whole channel, building it into something we could use. And each week they would actually set it up for us. And then Scott, God bless him. I wouldn't know how old he is if he hadn't told me 50 times that he's 64 years old. But the man is not 64 in terms of his body. He comes out. He's still able to throw a baseball pretty hard. He never complains. He wears his Gilligan hat out there with a Hawaiian shirt. He looks great on there. It looks like I got Magnum PI throwing baseballs. But Scott, you were as much a part of this coaching staff as the rest of us, and we always listened to your thoughts on what was going on. And your commentating was fantastic, which you'll hear about a little bit later in this video. And one of the other people that I want to shout out to is obviously Skip Schwartz, the voice of Eagle Broadcasting. Skip, we understand, may turn down or take his offer from ESPN Ocho, the ESPN 8 has offered him a job to do the Spanish, the Spanish channel. But he won't be too bad there. He's they like his subscriber base. But no, in all due seriousness, Skip did it's a pretty tireless job to sit there and talk for 2 hours during a game and make it interesting. And I think you did it, a great job. Everyone that was on there loved it, and it was pretty exciting. And we really appreciate you coming each week and taking the time to do that for us. And lastly, we're going to miss you. We know that you're going to be in Chattanooga next year. We're losing another Titan family, unfortunately, with you and Bladen. But congratulations to Bladen. He's going to, I understand, your high school, and it's going to be a nice return home for you guys back to your roots. So we'll look forward to keeping in touch, and hopefully we'll get a baseball team over into the United States, and you can come see us when we're there. So congratulations on your new job at home, and we'll miss you, Skipper, as we go forward.
I definitely want to be, Scott Harris when I'm 64 years old, throwing 100 BP sessions a season. That's unreal. And the energy. I know that he puts a ton of time into coming to all of our practices during the weekday, during the weekend. So thank you, Scott, from me, from Coach Bill, Bill for all the energy and all the effort that you put in throughout the season. And Skip, it's I went back to watch a lot of the games on the Facebook Live, video, the archive videos, just because I wanted to see some of the ABs that some of the kids were taking. But I kind of stuck around to listen to your voice because you were so entertaining, and it was really just not even watching it live. It was still fun to watch. So it was great to hear that voice, and it's great to be able to kind of look back at the season and hear your voice over and over. So we look forward to welcoming you back to Hong Kong at some point or another. But again, safe travels back to Tennessee.
And just one last thanks to the parents of all the Taitam kids. One thing that you were all supportive. It was a year of a lot of changes, a lot of changes at the last minute. You managed to get the kids there. We never forfeited a game. We came close a few times, but you were all there. You got the kids there on time. You're always there to help us. We're getting coffee for us or Gatorade, and I'll tell you. And then also just the yelling in the background and the positive. You lifted the team up when it needed to be lifted up, and you were a great group of family to have us. And it was great last week when we had you all in the swimming pool, and just to see all of you. And it was a real family effort or a village effort, and we really appreciate all of your effort during the year, because we can't do it without you. Someone has to get these little guys up and ready to go, and you did it every week.
For sure. I think specific shout outs to Harry and to Tim, who are doing a lot of the game changer stuff for us.
Yep.
Without them, we don't have any of these stats. So really appreciate all the time and energy that takes, because I know that takes a lot of work. And Howard, Roy's mom, setting us up with coffee almost every week.
Yep.
That iced coffee that I had last weekend was unreal, much needed in that 36-degree heat. So again, appreciate all the parents and for getting them up, for getting them, all the kids into baseball readiness and feeding them throughout the season. So thank you very much.
So Eagles, what a year! When we look back on this, as I was saying to Coach Jota, in your lifetimes, you may have one or two times when you actually will have a chance to be perfect, and you did it. You went out, you actually started the year, and you played a perfect season. And there are very few players that ever will have a chance to say they've done this in their lifetimes. So what I would say is look around when you watch this video, look at the guys that you're with, and realize that you have something very special that you did together this year. And as you think about and go through the rest of your career, whether it be in sports or anything that you do, this is something that you should always look back on as one of the great achievements of your young lives. You've got a lot ahead of you, but it's always important to recognize in the journey these special moments. And that's why I think Coach Jota and I wanted to have this video so that you can look back in 10 years and remember this and remember how special it was. Yeah,
perfection's really hard to achieve, and you guys did it this year. So a great, unreal season for us to coach and to watch you guys develop. The two things that I always mention to you guys: one, we put a ton of pressure on you guys. Every game was, especially at the end, was very, very hard. And we said, hey, this is an unbeaten season. And you guys really kind of took that on and did what you needed to do to make sure that you finished the season unbeaten. So, and I always knew, and Coach Bill and I always talked about it, is that, putting that pressure on felt a little bit unfair at times, but at the same time, we knew that, you guys are going to feel the pressure in different situations going forward. We wanted you to feel that. We wanted you to experience it, and you guys came through. So remember that energy, remember that outcome when you face a little bit of challenges throughout the rest of your lives. Last but not least, as I always said to you guys, effort is the most important thing for me. It's not really about the result. The result's great. But as Coach Bill said earlier in the video, right? I always talked about having you guys go out, play your heart out, and make sure that you don't leave that field with any regrets. And 100% agree with Coach Bill in the sense that none of you left that field with any regrets about what I should have done, what I could have done, or should I have swung quicker, should I have ran quicker, should I have got to the ball quicker. None of you, all of you guys showed a ton of hustle, ton of energy, good vibes all around, and I'm really, really proud of you. Really proud to be able to coach you. It was an honor, a privilege, and I look forward to coaching you as you guys get older too.
And one last time. 1, 2, 3, Eagles!